Hello, everyone. Good evening. How's it going?
Going good.
Going well? Nice to see your lovely faces. I know nobody wants to see this. It's finals, it's a finals face, but we're hanging in there. So, all right. Thank you so much for coming out. Last meeting we did at the start of winter quarter was a huge success. Just super pleased that people are still showing up, and we got people for this one as well. So let's get this show on the road. All right. So thank you so much for coming out. And I'm going to start by talking about why I started this club and what we're doing now, because we are going into our second session. So that's me. I'm Ben. I'm a junior dramatic writing student in Savannah. Who are all of you people? I don't know. I'd love to know. My spring quarter is a junior. And yeah. All right. So why am I doing this? So making art can be really hard, and I find it's especially hard when you don't have a reason to be doing it. That's why I sort of start every project with a purpose, and I brought a purpose into this club as well. So I'm going to talk about what my goal has been with Black Box, what we want to accomplish, and why this club is the vehicle I'm using to accomplish that vision. So, what's the thesis statement? What's the vision? Well, it comes in three parts. Number one is that anyone who wants to be a writer should have the opportunity to do that if they want to. So I believe this is an industry that sometimes has to do a lot with who you know and your connections and networking. And I understand the importance of that. But at the same time, it doesn't leave a path forward to those of us who don't have those great connections yet, who might not have worked an internship before, who just know what we do, people who are just writers through and through. My dad is an accountant. My mom's a substitute teacher. I don't really know what my way in was. And that's what this can be. One way of looking at this is it's your way into producing good work before somebody's hired you to make good work. So you got to start somewhere. You got to start by developing your portfolio. Some of you might be upperclassmen like myself with some experience. You might have taken classes that have already helped you craft some great pieces, something you're proud of. So what is the difference between what you've made for then until this point and now in Black Box? What can Black Box do for you? Well, Black Box is a chance to do something collaborative. Because if you're here, there's a chance you want to work in a writer's room one day, in the TV writer's room, which let me tell you, is a very different experience than writing on your own. And how do I know that? Well, because I've written pilot now with a writing partner, and because of my time at the helm of Black Box this quarter, this past winter quarter, I had the privilege of being showrunner. I'm going into this quarter as showrunner again, but we'll talk about that, why that is in a moment. And our staff, we tussled about the key questions of story and character and world. And it was a fight at times. It was like pulling teeth, but we produced something we're quite proud of. And it's going to be showcased on Saturday, March 13th at 6 p.m. at the Dramatic Reading. So hope to see some of you there. And finally, I think what I want to do with Black Box is I want to give people a chance to make something different. This is a club where you can write things that you normally couldn't write at SCAD, maybe things that don't sell as well. Sometimes I say that what teachers at this school often tell you is that what matters is what sells. But I find it's often what, the things that sell are actually the ones that matter rather than the other way around. So yeah, so this club is for SCAD students, but it's unaffiliated with the Interclub Council, the ICC. We're not constrained by censorship or production budget or even a 3-act structure. And I understand the importance of all those traditional tools, but this is also a place where you can transcend them, build beyond them, right? So this is your place. Black Box is your chance to be a writer, work collaboratively, make something different. All right, so what do we materially do at Black Box? What do we actually make? What's the objective? So the mission is to write one original TV pilot per quarter. Does that sound easy? Does that sound hard? Well, I don't know, mix of both. And we've done it, and we're going to do it again. So I want you to forget about production for a moment, though there might be room for that down the line as well. But what Blackbox does is we engage a team of writer's assistants and staff writers led by story editors, an executive producer, and a showrunner to do the conceptual work of creating an entire universe from scratch. We'll be coming up with characters, worlds, arcs, themes, and the final pilot is going to be a story that's just waiting to be told and a show that's begging to be made. Just like we did this quarter, we're going to invite the broader SCAD dramatic writing community in to see this wonderful project that we've been developing, which is then going to be submitted to all kinds of fantastic contests and competitions. In fact, like I said, we've got our winter quarter dramatic reading coming up on Saturday, and you'll have a chance to see what we've been doing the past 10 weeks there. So this is the part where I'd like you to get out your calendars, because to do everything we want to accomplish, we're going to have to make a lot of progress on a tight schedule. So here's what it looks like. On March 21st, we have our Pitch-O-Rama coming up really fast. I'm going to talk about that soon, and we're going to select a project to work on for the quarter from a number of pitches. I'm going to call for story editors who are I'm going to speak about what their role is later as well. After that, we've got the March 28th inaugural meeting. So everything past March 28th, the dates you're going to see are a little bit more fluid because on March 28th, we're really going to land on what the schedule is going forward. On March 28th, that's sort of going to be our chance to talk together and get a sense of what everybody's availability is weekly, monthly, so that we can set up a schedule that works for everyone. That being said, I have some tentative dates here, which are an April 30th first draft being due. That's a goal. I believe winter quarter, this quarter, we didn't deviate too much from these dates, but they might shift a little bit. Pretty soon after, we want the final draft. There's 4 weeks to develop a first draft and then 3 to get to the final. Then very soon after, we have me doing this meeting all over again, but that should say fall pre-quarter interest meeting actually, because we're going to be gauging interest for fall. And then, just like this quarter, we'll cap it off with a successful dramatic reading of the finished pilot, which I'm so excited about, as always. All right, so Blackbox is a democratic space, right? But that doesn't mean there isn't a sort of writer's room hierarchy. It helps us get things done, right? We're going to need people like showrunners, exec producers, story editors, staff writers, and writer's assistants. All of them are a vital part of the writer's ecosystem. This is pretty important to maintaining efficient production. We need a showrunner and exec producer to set the vision, maintain a schedule, ensure tasks are completed on time. We need story editors to lead our staff writers. We obviously need the writer's assistants to provide notes and feedback on everything that gets made. And every role here matters, and every role will provide you with different opportunities and challenges. Right. So, yeah, democracy. That's where I think Blackbox differs from a lot of workplaces. This club is not my vanity project. And it shouldn't be for anyone else who gets to lead this team. It's a huge privilege. And in fact, the 2 top roles of showrunner and exec producer are new people who are chosen every quarter by a vote of current club members. That's, I think, the best part of this whole thing. Let's say you've worked in your team for the whole quarter, got to know the people there, seen people whose management style you respect, you can vote them to be showrunner for next quarter. Now, I'm showrunner 2nd quarter in a row. Do I want to be? No. But did anyone step up? Also no. So here I am, keeping the ship afloat, but I'm excited to work with the new executive producer. So this gives you a real sense of agency, because if you've contributed to the club, congrats, you now have a say over who's going to lead this project. And that's, one of my favorite things about Blackbox. All right, so let's talk about the roles quickly. The showrunner is the leader of the quarters project. They're going to lead meetings, provide notes to staff writers, and have final veto power over changes to story and character. But they're also supposed to play sort of a hands-off role. They're ultimately responsible for the timely completion of the project more than anything. This quarter, Again, I'm showrunner, but I am anxious to pass on those responsibilities to someone who will run this better than I can. And the idea is that one showrunner shouldn't lead 2 consecutive projects. Again, going against that, I would not like to. All right. So for all quarters going forward, the showrunner is actually going to be chosen by a secret ballot of all the current club members. And staff writers and story editors who've expressed interest can be chosen. Not the current not the current showrunner, not the current exec producer. All right, so the next role I want to talk about is the executive producer, but in order to actually do that, I have to talk about the pitch because that's how the project and the exec producer both get chosen. So the pitch. Every quarter, we're creating a new show. So every quarter, we need a new pitch. A pitch for the next project can be submitted by any member of Black Box. The pitch is going to take the form of a short oral argument that you're going to give in person at the pitchorama. No supporting documents are required. The only criteria for the pitch is that it be convincing. Answer one question. Why do we need this show right now? Right? This is a thematic club, theme-focused club. I want to know, is there a question your show is asking? Is there an argument for it? Is there a reason it's being made? An opinion you want to advance with it? Just give it a reason to exist, right? All right. So the person who has their pitch chosen will be guaranteed a position on staff as the executive producer. How sweet is that? So if you contributed that idea, you get to shepherd the vision, make sure it isn't tampered too much, and have a voice over how the project turns out. Right, so the exec producer, second in command to the showrunner. They'll set the schedule for production of the pilot, they'll provide notes to staff writers, and crucially, they'll select the story editors. The story editors are going to have to provide a writing sample to the exec producer for consideration. They're going to work in tandem to build and improve the structure of the pilot. Each story editor will work with 2 or 3 staff writers, depending on the size of the room, who are going to work together to produce an act. If we do it in an act structure, we might divide it up in another way. Story editors, in general, are going to delegate proofreading, research, and other writing tasks to writers' assistants. And story editors are answerable to the exec producer. They're going to deliver timely materials to them. We actually have one of our story editors here tonight.
Yes, hello. Hi, my name is Amy. I'm a freshman, actually, but I'm the second story editor for was the second story editor for the Winter Black Box project.
How's your time been? What do you think about the role?
I love it, actually. It's like the perfect combination between being like a staff writer and being like a executive producer. You get to have like a lot of, essentially like a lot of power when it comes to like delegating tasks and helping people, the writers along, and also having the ability to put your input seriously into the story. And I overall had a lot of fun with it, and I'm very excited to see who will next get this immense weight on their shoulders.
Sweet. Yeah, so like Amy said, it's a good balance of creativity and responsibility, leadership, right? You get to be like any other staff writer, except you're not. You're also helping the other staff writers, guiding them along, giving them some notes along the way. All right, so the lovely staff writers, they're going to work in groups with story editors. Each group is responsible for writing description and dialogue for an act or a portion of the pilot. That's sort of the idea. And any club member who expresses interest and an ability to actually commit to writing gets to be a staff writer, anyone from the outside. No writing experience, fine. Lots of writing experience, also fine. We just want to know that you're going to commit, that you're going to show up, and that you'll be open to feedback, right? But showrunners have to reserve the right to dismiss staff writers if there's repeated absence from meetings or failure to produce deliverables, right? So we want to make something. All right, writer's assistants. Writer's assistants are so important. They work as our proofreaders, our researchers, our note takers, depending on what's required. Each writer's assistant works under the supervision of a story editor. And the idea is that they're supposed to sort of step back from giving lots of suggestions on plot, character, structure, unless they're sort of asked for comment by the story editors, because We need somebody to keep a record of everything that's going on rather than add more voices to the record. But if they want to talk, of course, we're always going to listen. And any club member who expresses interest, just like staff writer, can be a writer's assistant. Just similar commitment, right? All right, so meetings, like a writer's room, but virtual and shorter. Isn't that great? So for us to accomplish anything, we need to meet regularly. Please keep in mind that a real writer's room would probably meet every day for several hours, working for weeks, from pitches to beat-by-beat breakdowns to outlines to final scripts. Obviously, it's going to depend on the team, going to depend on how much material they're producing. That being said, we're only writing one script over the course of a few weeks, so fewer meetings are going to be required, but you might be surprised. Here's what it looks like. I should not say Jan 4th there. Those dates are off. My bad. Should be between March 21st and May 27th. I changed that. I changed those dates. That is frustrating. So from March 21st to the May 27th reading, we're going to have a meeting once per week for the whole team. These are brief meetings that are no longer than an hour where we plan our next steps, assess our progress. That's the check-in meeting. Pretty important. We're also going to have a longer meeting once per week for the whole team. That's the writer's room. It's a chance for us to brainstorm chunks of story, characters, tackle problems, and just discuss things that have been happening in our individual story teams. This one's pretty important, right? And then finally, these story team meetings, they're going to happen twice per week, but these are one story team meeting once per week. So you'd have 3 meetings in total as a club member, but you have story teams meeting at different times in the week. And these meetings are really check-ins for staff writers with their story editors. They're going to be extremely brief, just to sort of assess where everybody's at. All right, so don't be scared. Your in-person time commitment is pretty straightforward. It's just one 1-hour meeting, one 3-hour meeting, and 1 or 2 30-minute meetings. Not too bad. All right. We're going to be supportive if you got to miss a meeting. Just let us know in advance. Let your story editor know if you can't do a check-in. I mean, my staff can probably attest to the fact that, they've told me they can't make it, and I'm understanding about that. All right, so if we decide to dismiss you because you're missing too many meetings, it's not a personal decision. We're going to warn you well in advance, all right? Okay, so ground rules, contracts and competitions. So Black Box is intended to be a space where you have a clear understanding of your rights and responsibilities as a writer. So members are going to sign contracts at the first meeting of the quarter. These contracts are going to vary based on the role you're accepting, but they underline 2 important ideas: the work you're expected to deliver and your rights over the work. In general, you'll be let go if you fail to attend 5 meetings or fail to deliver work that's assigned by the story editor, exec producers, or showrunners, or engage in or condone any form of harassment or discrimination. Come on, y'all. Build a supportive environment. Seriously. Yeah, so for each quarter, the showrunner and exec producer retain the exclusive rights to the sale and distribution of the project and the right to submit the project to contests and share the expenses of the submissions. However, staff writers will always be credited on submissions and will appear on the title page of the script. It just doesn't really make sense for 10 people to be entitled to $50 rewards from a screenwriting competition. It doesn't make sense in terms of winning the contest or distributing the funds that you would win. All right, so by signing, you'd agree to these stipulations. To you. All right, questions? Because I know that was a ton of stuff. Anyone who wants to speak up? Robert, I see you with your hand up, or Brian, or anyone?
Brian, if you want to go first.
Oh, okay, thank you. The 21st, the Picturama, what time is that at?
That's a great question. Leave should be up here. I got my contact here. There you go, March 21st, and it's going to be held. Let me get the exact time. I believe it's going to be 5, but I just want to make sure it's not 6 or something funny. I'm going to double check for you. Robert, what's your question? I'll get that in the meantime.
Just a dumb question. This is like my last quarter, like here, and more than anything, I just came in to just kind of see how you guys work. I've been following the Instagram. You guys are awesome. Just basically how that I've
Thank you.
been viewing as a fan. So like the whole next quarter, I'm going to be basically using the career center and all that. I'm sure I can't like join the thing. I was just wondering if that was a possibility.
But
But
you'd be an alum, you're saying?
yeah, I'd basically be an alum by next quarter. So if not, it's fine. I just wanted to see how this works. But
Probably not, but you
yeah,
know, we
it's
could.
fine.
I could talk to the current club members. We talk about it. We think about it.
Yeah. Well, either way, this is good.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming out, though.
Yeah.
Appreciate the support. I'm
And
always
thank you
amazed
for
that anybody shows up.
yeah, thank you for being a fan of the Instagram. I appreciate that.
That's all, Amy. All right. Anyone? Other questions? Thoughts?
So what time is the meeting?
I'm getting that. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I literally spent so much time updating all the information from last quarter's presentation, and then somehow something happened. I'm gonna stop sharing so I can get this for sure. I'm so sorry. Brian, didn't you have a question earlier?
No, it was just ask what the time was.
Oh, yeah. That was that you?
Yep.
Okay, my bad.
No
I
problem.
have a question.
Sorry?
Oh,
Who was that?
Alex.
Yeah, Alex, sure. What is it?
I was wondering if the March 21st pitch meeting, does that count as the first meeting of this club?
No, the first meeting's the 28th. The pitchorama is on the 21st. We don't count it as a meeting because the 21st pitchorama, it's like anybody, including people who are not club members, can show up to that, right?
Okay.
But the idea is if you pitch, you know, you're
in the club.
down to stick around, hopefully, if your
Yeah.
pitch gets chosen, right? Okay, so it is 5 to 7 p.m. on the 21st. I am so sorry I did not have the time readily available. 5 to 7 p.m. on the 21st, all right? I'm gonna share my screen again. All right, so yeah. And we do most of our work over Discord. So anyone who wants to can join our server right now and just sort of be a guest in there until you get officially signed up with contracts and everything, and you shown up to the pitchorama and shown up to the inaugural meeting and decided you want to stick around. So I'll just throw the Discord link in the chat for now. Oh, I think I know what happened. I think I put the meeting time somewhere else. Oh, my bad. All right. Does everybody know how to use Discord, by the way? I know a lot of people were new to it last quarter, but it's been very useful. All right, here's that link, by the way. So check it out and get in there. You won't see anything for the time being because you're just going to have like the default permission, you know, like no staff member permission, which would let you see all the channels and everything. But just in case you want to get in there so that you're already there. And yeah, again, we got upcoming meetings 21st and 28th. And that will be on the Instagram. Those links will be on the Instagram. So don't worry if you didn't screenshot that last slide, but I can pull it up quickly if you, in case you want to take a screenshot of it instead, though I don't know why you would, because it's just easier to copy a text link. But I'll pull it up and I'll take some more questions over that if there are any. Yeah, any other questions? Thoughts, comments? All right, well, cool. Thank you for showing up, and yeah, appreciate you being here.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, we'll have all the important info on our Instagram. Are you already following Black Box on Instagram?
If you're not, you should.
If you're not, yeah, Black
It's a
Box
good-
at Black Box SCAD. All right. And we'll have a link to our mailing list, which you got to get on if you want to get more updates from me. We'll have a link to the Pitchorama, a link to the inaugural meeting. It's all going to be in the bio. All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Have a great night.
Great night. Thank you.
And so the three